there's many things that I appreciate. And one of the things I appreciate about this company is I'm introduced to people that I was not paying attention to before. I personally did not know anything about the Saska sisters before the advent of the Rippaverse. So this was my introduction to them. Hearing Eric July talk about them and what I read in Yaira #1, it helped me to understand why he raved about their run on Black Widow, which I still haven't read. I'm gonna need to pick that up. I'll have to go find some back issues and get that stuff and check it out, because I hear it's good. And looking at their writing style and looking at Yaira, I understand. Like, I actually get it. What they did in that book and how they built everything out was super exciting to me. I enjoyed every bit of that. I think the strategy that the Rippaverse has for 2025, I think is going to work masterfully. Release Bloodruth, and then right behind Bloodruth, release Yaira. That works. That completely works for me. I can see, I don't know if it was intentional to do it this way, but I can see how doing the releases that way works. And I think this Yaira book is going to sew up some things and add some little details here and there to the Rippaverse story arc as a whole that actually sews up a lot of these different plot points for us. And I think it's going to make a lot of things make more sense. This is just my guesstimation, purely my guesstimation, looking at how things have played out so far. So let's take a look. First, we're going to look at the Rippaville showcase announcement of Yaira #2. Then we're going to look at the short 15-second launch trailer they have for Yaira #2. I'm recording this in advance. If you're watching this video, Lord willing, it is the 9th. Yaira has launched. Hopefully you've gotten your books. Hopefully I've gotten to order mines. So let's see what's going on.
Another nightmare. Every night I'm forced to watch my family die. Every night I'm treated to a symphony of horrors. And no matter how hard I try, I fail.
I like that sword.
They call out to me to save them.
You know what I thought of? And this dawned on me as I was watching this video. Yaira in many ways reminds me of the Highlander. Like that, there's something about the Highlander that just really works for me. Now, it is my hope that they never try to relaunch that series. I think they did at one point. I can't remember exactly, or maybe there was a discussion about relaunching that series. I think things like that we all grew up on and loved, I think they just need to let those things go. Just leave them where they are. Allow them to remain in our minds in a nostalgic state, and do not mess up our memory of these things. We don't want you to mess that up. So don't do another Highlander series. I'll watch reruns if I want to see it again. But yeah, her story and how things play out kind of reminded me of Highlander. If you read Yaira #1, you'll know why I said that.
But I'm helpless. Ever since I executed you, old friend, you've sent me ethereal messages that the mighty black sorcerer cannot be so easily
Now, these are
defeated.
events. If you haven't read it, these are events from Yaira #1. And if I remember his name, let me see if I can remember. Magnus Numite, I believe is his name. And I think this is going to be a big bad villain. I think this is going to be one of those villains that shows up in a big way, and not just in Yaira's book. I think he's going to show up in other books and be a menace in the Rippaverse.
Is this some spell you cast before I delivered your death blow? Could you have somehow survived and patiently wait till I'm at my weakest to strike?
So she thinks that he's pulling a fast one over on her. Huh, maybe this is a hint or a clue of what's to come. And I mean, it would not shock me because the way, I mean, you would know, I'm purposely being vague about Yaira number one. What I've decided is until and unless I do a full video review of the books, I'm not going to necessarily mention any specific thing that happened in the book that's integral to the overall plot. I might mention some generic things, but just not go in full detail. And that's another thing. I've been thinking about, somebody mentioned in my comments, they made a good comment about the Rippaverse and its reach and the fact that you really need to get to younger audience. And it didn't dawn on me after that comment that they actually are making a move for younger audience as well with Goodyng. I think Goodyng is an underappreciated book because I don't see many people talking about it. So I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe the next Rippaverse review I'm going to do, even before I get to ISOM number 2, I'm going to break out Goodyng one more time. I mean, I need to read it again anyway. And I think I'm going to do that book first because, like I said, I think this is a book people actually need to hear about and need to know more about because I do think this would be a very attractive book to a younger audience. And for every good reason, I really liked Goodyng number 1.
Until you have succeeded in driving me insane, could there be truth to my visions? Are you all still alive somewhere?
Is her family in
the darkness,
the land of Valhalla? I guess maybe we are going to find out. I look forward to seeing what happens in this book. Deborah Carita's art, oh my goodness. I'm looking forward to that. I'm super excited about this book, like really excited.
Hi, I'm Sylvia.
And I'm Jen. Hi.
And we are the lore masters, editors, and writers at the Rippaverse.
We are also horror directors.
And you know what's good? So when I was growing up reading comic books in the early 90s, late 80s and early 90s, all you knew of what was going on in the back end with some of these comic book companies is what you read in a magazine. Like if it wasn't covered in a magazine, there was really not many other outlets for finding out what was going on behind the scenes, unless you happen to know someone in the comic book industry. I do like the fact that we really get to see how the cake is made. I mean, of course, you don't get to see, the exact, spelled out details for the books, but we really do get a very close up view of the behind the scenes action, which I don't know how you feel, but for me as a fan, I feel like I'm more connected to what's going on. And these people at the Rippaverse are busy, and they really do take time out to talk with, on a small level, small channels like mine's, right? Jen and Sylvia have commented on some of my posts on X. Many of the Rippaverse team has reposted some of my items, and they don't have to do that. They don't have to do that at all. But I think this is a grassroots effort. I think they understand that. Now, obviously, as this company grows, nobody's going to have time to be on social media that much. You're running a company. If I was running a company, you'd probably get a video every now and again. I mean, you already do. I'm trying to be more consistent. And I want to cover more Rippaverse items because it seems like you guys really like it. Obviously, they're a new company and there's only so much I can cover, which is why I decided to break these Rippaville videos into sections to kind of give you more content, give you my thoughts on some of the things going on with the Rippaverse.
And the Twisted Twins. Since we already spoiled it, we are writing Yaira 2. Yaira 2 is happening. Thank you for the success of Yaira 1.
Thank you very much. And what happens to Yaira?
Yo, what would happen if this book blew Yaira #1 out the water as far as sales. Now, I'm not going to make any predictions and say for sure, one way or another, but wouldn't that be crazy? That would be absolutely nuts.
Yaira and Yaira 2. Well, she got in a little bit of a mess in the first Yaira, and there are going to be repercussions.
Yeah, since continuity
I'm
is
here
kind of a
for
big deal in our universe, anything that Yaira
That statement right there, continuity is a big deal. If you were to try to, like, let's say if you knew someone who wanted to get into comic books and they wanted to start with Marvel and DC and just pick a character, any character that they wanted to start with, like, where would you start them? So many world changing and multiversal events have happened. Would they be able to wrap their brains around all of that? And it seems like from its inception, Rippaverse is trying to stay away from that. Now, maybe there's just no avoiding it, right? If this company happens to go on for decades, maybe there's just no way of getting around, some kind of multiversal change, reboot. We'll see. I hope they are successful in staying away from that stuff. I think it'll just be better for storytelling overall, in my opinion.
messed up, she's gonna have to clean up in #2.
And if you thought we were rough on Yaira and Yaira 1, wait for Yaira 2. We do not go easy on the Ice Queen this time.
Yaira has all new villains.
Yeah.
Oh,
She has some new allies.
And let's just
Team
say
ups?
we saw some requests online for what you guys wanted her wearing, and Deborah Carita was more than happy to oblige.
yo, I like that. It's not like fans are holding them hostage and they have to do, whatever the fans say. But there is a respect for the fans. People, they respect what's going on with the fans or what the fans have to say. And whenever they can, give the fans something they want, they do. A lot of the big companies can kind of take a lesson from that, add that to their playbook. Short, sweet, and to the absolute point. Yes, I'm looking forward to this. So hopefully, if you're watching this video, hopefully you've already ordered your Yaira #2, and hopefully I've ordered my Yaira #2 by this point. And if you have, man, it's probably going to be really exciting when those books reaches your hands and you get to see what happens next.